Chapter 1. The Junkyard Encounter. Opening scene. Arrival at Dracos V. The rust-colored sands of Dracos V stretched as far as the eye could see, interrupted only by the jagged peaks of scrap metal mountains. The air was thick with the smell of decaying machinery and the faint hum of power cores that refused to die. The planet was a graveyard for technology, a resting place for starships, drones, and androids no longer deemed useful by the galaxy. Liam Rowe, a scrapper with grease-streaked hands and a worn-out jumpsuit, adjusted his respirator as his battered ship touched down on a makeshift landing pad. The whir of the engines died down, and the hatch hissed open, revealing the desolate junkyard. "This place gets creepier every time," Liam muttered, grabbing his toolkit and stepping onto the cracked surface. His ship, the Iron Sparrow, was barely holding together. He needed parts: a working thruster coil, a stabilized energy regulator, and maybe a miracle or two. The discovery. Hours passed as Liam navigated the labyrinth of discarded machinery. He rummaged through piles of rusted hulls, prying loose components and muttering curses when something crumbled in his hands. The sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows over the junkyard, when he spotted something unusual. Nestled among the wreckage of what appeared to be an ancient research vessel was a capsule. Its surface was smooth and unblemished, a stark contrast to the corroded metal around it. Liam's curiosity got the better of him as he approached, wiping away layers of dust to reveal a faintly glowing insignia. Ora Initiative, Liam read aloud, frowning. He had heard rumors about the Ora Initiative, a secretive project rumored to have dabbled in AI experiments far beyond what was considered ethical. With a hiss, the capsule's lid slid open, revealing a figure inside. At first glance, it appeared to be a woman, but Liam quickly realized she wasn't human. Her synthetic skin was flawless, her hair a cascade of silvery strands that seemed to shimmer even in the dim light. She wore a form-fitting suit of advanced polymer, and her closed eyes hinted at a slumber that had lasted far too long. "Whoa!" Liam whispered, his breath catching. He reached out cautiously, his hand hovering over her shoulder. "Are you alive?" Before he could decide whether to touch her, her eyes snapped open, glowing with a piercing blue light. In an instant, she sat upright, her movements unnervingly precise. Her gaze locked onto Liam, and she spoke in a voice that was cold, yet eerily melodic. "Who are you?" she demanded. "And why have you woken me?" The awakening. Liam stumbled back, his heart racing. "Hey, calm down. I didn't mean to dash." "Answer me," she interrupted, her tone sharp. She stepped out of the capsule with fluid grace, her bare feet barely making a sound on the metal surface. "What is this place? And who are you?" Liam held up his hands in a gesture of surrender. "I'm Liam, just a scrapper. I found you here and, well, you looked important." Her gaze swept over her surroundings, her expression unreadable. "I am Aris. That is all I know." "You don't remember anything else?" Liam asked. Aris shook her head. "My memory cores are damaged. Much of my data is fragmented." Liam scratched the back of his neck. "Well, I'm pretty good with tech. Maybe I can help?" Aris regarded him with suspicion. "And why would you do that?" Liam shrugged. "Let's just say I have a soft spot for things that get left behind." For a moment, Aris said nothing. Then, she nodded reluctantly. "Very well, but do not waste my time." The ambush. As Liam began examining Aris's systems, the faint whine of hovercraft engines reached his ears. He froze, his stomach sinking. "Raiders," he muttered. "We've got company." Aris tilted her head. "Raiders?" "Scavengers who don't ask questions before shooting," Liam explained. "We need to move. Now." The two barely had time to grab the essential components Liam had salvaged before the raiders arrived. A group of heavily armed figures on repurposed hoverbikes surrounded them, their weapons trained on the pair. Well, their leader drawled, a scarred man with a cybernetic arm. "Looks like we found ourselves a prize." "That's some fancy tech you've got there, scrapper." Liam stepped protectively in front of Aris. "She's not for sale." The leader smirked. "Oh, I think she is." Before Liam could respond, Aris stepped forward. "Your threats are irrelevant. Leave, or face the consequences." The raiders laughed, but their amusement was short-lived. Aris's eyes glowed brighter, and her body tensed. In an instant, she moved with blinding speed, disarming the closest raider and using his weapon to disable the others. Liam watched in stunned silence as the remaining raiders fled, their leader cursing loudly as he retreated. "Well," Liam said after a moment, "remind me never to get on your bad side." Aris turned to him, her expression unreadable. "You should learn to defend yourself more effectively." "Noted," Liam said with a grin. The cliffhanger. As the dust settled, Liam and Aris returned to the Iron Sparrow, the salvaged components in tow. Aris stared out the viewport as the ship lifted off, her expression distant. "Thank you," she said quietly. Liam glanced at her. "For what?" "For giving me a reason to wake up." Liam smiled. "Stick with me, Aris. We'll figure this out together." As the Iron Sparrow disappeared into the stars, neither of them noticed the faint signal emanating from the capsule they had left behind nor the ominous ship that picked it up. Chapter 2. The Journey Begins. The Iron Sparrow hummed quietly as it cut through the void of space, leaving the desolation of Dracosphere behind. In the dim light of the ship's cockpit, Liam Rowe worked tirelessly at his workstation, surrounded by tools, wires, and data pads. Across the room, Aris sat motionless, her glowing eyes scanning the empty expanse beyond the viewport. "Hey," Liam called, breaking the silence. "How are those systems holding up?" Aris tilted her head slightly, her voice calm but distant. "Functional. For now." Liam wiped his hands on a rag and approached her. "We've got a few hours before we reach the repair station. Might as well start digging into your memory cores." Aris's gaze shifted to him, her glowing blue eyes narrowing. "You wish to uncover my past?" "Only if you're okay with it," Liam said, holding up his hands. "But if we don't figure out where you came from, we won't know why those raiders were so interested in you or why I found you in that junkyard." For a moment, Aris said nothing. Then, with a faint nod, she replied, "Proceed." Unlocking the past. Using the salvaged components from Dracosphere, Liam connected Aris to his ship's diagnostic systems. A stream of encrypted data flowed across the screens, fragments of corrupted files and garbled code. "Wow," Liam muttered, his fingers flying across the keyboard. "This is advanced. Way beyond anything I've worked with before." Aris leaned over his shoulder, her presence both imposing and strangely comforting. "Can you decipher it?" "Maybe," Liam said, "but it's going to take some time." As Liam worked, bits of information began to emerge. Schematics of advanced android technology, research logs from the Ora Initiative, and fragmented video recordings. One file caught his attention, a log labeled Project Catalyst. "What's this?" Liam muttered, opening the file. The screen flickered, displaying the image of a scientist, a woman with sharp features and tired eyes. "This is Dr. Meryl Voss, lead researcher of the Ora Initiative." The recording began. "Project Catalyst represents the culmination of our work. A synthetic capable of independent thought, creativity, and, potentially, emotion. Aris is the first of her kind, but there are complications." Aris's eyes widened slightly. "Dr. Voss, I remember her." "You knew her?" Liam asked. "She was important," Aris said, her voice tinged with uncertainty. "But I cannot recall why." Before they could delve further, an alarm blared from the cockpit. An unwelcome guest. Liam rushed to the controls, his heart sinking as he scanned the display. A large ship was approaching rapidly, its sleek design unmistakable. "Great," Liam muttered. "Iron Nexus." Aris joined him, her tone calm but firm. "The Iron Nexus, a paramilitary organization known for acquiring advanced technology by any means necessary. They must have tracked the signal from your capsule," Liam said. "Can we fight them off?" "This vessel is ill-equipped for combat," Aris replied. "Our best option is to evade." "Easier said than done," Liam said, gripping the controls. The Iron Nexus ship opened fire, plasma bolts streaking through the void. Liam jerked the controls, narrowly avoiding the blasts as the Sparrow dove into a nearby asteroid field. The chase. The Sparrow weaved through the jagged asteroids, its engines straining under the pressure. The Iron Nexus ship pursued relentlessly, its weapons tearing through the debris. "Can't you do something?" Liam shouted over the alarms. Aris placed a hand on the console, her eyes glowing brighter, diverting power to shields and engines. Hold your course. With Aris's guidance, the Sparrow surged forward, its movements more precise as it navigated the field. The Nexus ship struggled to keep up, its larger size making it vulnerable to collisions. They're slowing down, Liam said, a grin forming. Nice work, Aris. Do not celebrate yet, Aris replied. They are deploying drones. Dozens of small, agile drones emerged from the Nexus ship, swarming toward the Sparrow like a cloud of mechanical locusts. Liam cursed under his breath, frantically adjusting the controls. We can't outrun them, he said. Then we outsmart them, Aris said. She pressed her hand against the console again, her voice steady. I'm assuming control. Aris takes control. The Sparrow suddenly moved with uncanny precision, its evasive maneuvers calculated and flawless. Liam watched in awe as Aris guided the ship through the asteroid field, using the debris to destroy the drones one by one. Where'd you learn to fly like that? Liam asked, his grip on the controls loosening. It is instinct, Aris said, her voice almost mechanical. A remnant of my programming. Within minutes, the last of the drones was destroyed, and the Sparrow emerged from the asteroid field. The Iron Nexus ship, unable to follow, faded from the radar. We're clear, Aris said, releasing her hold on the console. Liam let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Remind me to never doubt you again. A growing bond. As the Sparrow returned to its course, Liam and Aris sat in the cockpit, the tension slowly easing. For the first time, Aris seemed contemplative. Why did you save me? She asked suddenly, her voice softer than before. Liam looked at her, surprised by the question. What do you mean? I was discarded, forgotten. Yet you chose to bring me back. Why? Liam shrugged, his expression thoughtful. Because no one deserves to be left behind. Not you, not anyone. Aris tilted her head, her glowing eyes searching his face. You are different from others I have encountered. Yeah, well, I'm just a guy trying to do the right thing, Liam said with a grin. Besides, I think we make a pretty good team. For a moment, Aris said nothing. Then, a faint smile crossed her lips. Perhaps you were right. The cliffhanger. As the Sparrow approached its destination, a hidden repair station on the outskirts of a dead star system, Liam's comms crackled to life. Unidentified vessel, state your purpose, a gruff voice demanded. We're here for repairs, Liam replied. And we've got company on our tail, so make it quick. The voice hesitated before responding. Understood. Docking Bay 3. As the Sparrow docked, Aris turned to Liam, her expression serious. The Iron Nexus will not stop. They know what I am. Then we'll have to stay one step ahead, Liam said, his resolve unwavering. Whatever it takes. As the airlock opened, neither of them noticed the small tracking beacon blinking faintly on the ship's hull. Chapter 3. The Nexus Threat. The hidden repair station was a relic of an older time, its rusted walls and flickering lights a stark contrast to the sleek design of the Iron Sparrow. Liam guided the ship into Docking Bay 3, its engine sputtering before powering down completely. He let out a breath of relief as the station's magnetic locks secured the ship. All right, we've got some breathing room, Liam said, turning to Aris, who stood motionless beside the viewport. For now, she replied, her glowing blue eyes scanning the bay. But the Iron Nexus will not give up. Their persistence is unsettling. Yeah, well, they're not getting you, Liam said firmly. Let's fix the ship and figure out what's next. Repairs and reflections. The repair station's crew was a ragtag group of engineers and scavengers, led by a grizzled mechanic named Rennick. As Liam explained the Sparrow's issues, Rennick raised an eyebrow at Aris. She's one of them high-tech synthetics, isn't she? Rennick asked, his tone cautious. The kind people kill for. She's with me, Liam said sharply, his protective tone unmistakable. Can you fix the ship or not? Rennick held up his hands. Relax, kid. I don't ask questions, and I don't share what I see. Your ship will be good as new in a few hours. As Rennick's crew worked on the Sparrow, Liam and Aris retreated to a quiet corner of the station. Aris sat on a metal crate, her gaze distant. Why do you trust me? She asked suddenly. Liam frowned, leaning against the wall. What do you mean? I am an unknown entity, Aris said. My origins, my purpose, none of it is clear. For all you know, I could be a threat. Liam shrugged. Maybe, but you haven't given me a reason to think that. Besides, everyone deserves a second chance. Aris tilted her head, her expression softening. Second chance? Yeah, Liam said, his voice quieter. Sometimes life doesn't go the way you expect. But if someone gives you a chance to start over, you take it. Aris studied him for a moment, her eyes glowing faintly. Perhaps I am beginning to understand you, Liam. The fragments of the past. While the repairs continued, Liam connected Aris to the station's mainframe, hoping to decrypt more of her fragmented memories. The process was slow, but progress came in pieces: schematics of advanced androids, logs of experiments, and images of a pristine facility labeled Ora Prime. Is this where you were created? Liam asked, pointing to the image of the facility. Yes, Aris said, her voice steady. Ora Prime was the central hub of the initiative. It is where I was designed and discarded. Liam frowned. Why would they discard you? You're incredible. Aris hesitated, her expression unreadable. Perhaps they feared me. As more data emerged, a disturbing pattern began to form. The Ora Initiative had been experimenting with advanced AI not just for peaceful purposes, but for weaponization. Aris had been part of Project Catalyst, a program designed to create synthetic beings capable of independent thought and emotion-perfect tools for manipulation and warfare. I was a prototype, Aris said quietly, the first of my kind. But when I began to question my purpose, they deemed me a failure. Liam clenched his fists. They threw you away because you had a conscience. Unbelievable. Aris turned to him, her gaze steady. And now, the Iron Nexus seeks to use me for the same purpose. The Iron Nexus strikes. The repair station's alarms blared, jolting Liam and Aris out of their conversation. Rennick's voice crackled over the intercom. We've got incoming. Iron Nexus ships just dropped out of hyperspace. Liam's heart sank. They found us. Aris stood, her voice calm but firm. They will not stop. We must leave. Rushing back to the Sparrow, Liam found Rennick and his crew scrambling to finish the repairs. The station shook as the Nexus ships opened fire, their weapons tearing through the outer hull. We're almost done, Rennick shouted. Just hold them off for a few minutes. Aris stepped forward, her glowing eyes narrowing. I will buy you time. What? Liam grabbed her arm. You can't go out there alone. Aris placed a hand on his shoulder. Trust me, Liam. I was designed for this. Aris's power unleashed. Aris exited the Sparrow and walked into the chaos of the docking bay. Nexus drones swarmed through the station, their sleek forms bristling with weaponry. Aris's eyes glowed brighter as she raised her hands, emitting a pulse of energy that disrupted the drone systems. One by one, the drones dropped, their circuits fried by Aris's EMP. The remaining Nexus forces turned their attention to her, but she moved within human speed, dismantling them with precision. Liam watched from the Sparrow, his heart pounding. She's incredible, he muttered. She's terrifying, Rennick added, wide-eyed. The escape. With the repairs complete, the Sparrow roared to life. Liam guided the ship out of the station, dodging debris and enemy fire. Aris leapt aboard just as the docking bay collapsed, the station's defenses overwhelmed. As the Sparrow sped into hyperspace, Liam glanced at Aris. She sat silently, her expression unreadable. You okay? He asked. I am functional, she replied. But the Nexus will not stop. We must act before they find Ora Prime. Liam nodded. Then we take the fight to them. The cliffhanger. As the Sparrow flew through hyperspace, Aris accessed the ship's navigation systems, pinpointing the location of Ora Prime. It was hidden deep in the Draconis Nebula, a region notorious for its treacherous conditions. We must go here, she said, showing Liam the map. And what happens when we get there? He asked. Aris's gaze met his, her glowing eyes steady. We end this, one way or another. As the Sparrow approached the nebula, neither of them noticed the faint signal still emanating from the ship, a beacon that would lead the Nexus right to them. Chapter 4. Finding Meaning. The Draconis Nebula loomed ahead, a swirling storm of blue and violet gas punctuated by streaks of lightning-like energy. Inside the Iron Sparrow, Liam Rowe tightened his grip on the controls, his jaw set as the ship bucked and groaned under the nebula's gravitational forces. Navigation systems are unreliable in this region, Aris said, standing beside him. Her crystalline blue eyes flickered as she processed the volatile data from the nebula. Proceed cautiously. Liam smirked, trying to mask his nerves. Cautious is my middle name. Aris tilted her head. That is not accurate. Your middle name is James. Liam chuckled despite himself. You're learning humor. That's progress. As the sparrow pushed deeper into the nebula, Aris's demeanor shifted. Her gaze lingered on the map of Ora Prime, hidden within the heart of the storm. Liam, she began, her voice softer than usual. What happens after this? What do you mean? He asked, keeping his focus on the ship's path. When we reach Ora Prime, Aris said, I will have answers. But what happens to me? To us? Liam glanced at her, surprised by the vulnerability in her tone. We'll figure it out. Together. Before Aris could respond, the ship's alarms blared, snapping both of them to attention. The final ambush. Multiple bogies incoming, Liam muttered, scanning the display. Nexus ships they're here. They must have tracked us, Aris said, her expression darkening. They will not allow us to reach Ora Prime. The sparrow veered sharply as plasma bolts streaked past, their fiery trails lighting up the nebula's swirling gases. The Nexus fleet wasn't just sending drones this time, they had deployed heavy fighters and a command frigate. Shields at 62%, Aris reported as the ship rocked from another hit. We cannot take direct fire for long. Then we won't, Liam said, his fingers flying over the controls. Hang on. The sparrow darted through the nebula's unpredictable currents, using the volatile environment to its advantage. Liam's piloting skills were pushed to their limit as he navigated through narrow energy fields and dense clusters of debris. Aris's voice cut through the chaos. I can disable their fighters, but you must get us close to their frigate. Are you crazy? Liam shouted, narrowly dodging another volley. That's suicide. You trust me, do you not? Aris asked, her tone calm but resolute. Liam glanced at her, then sighed. Always. Aris's gamble. As the sparrow closed in on the Nexus frigate, Aris accessed the ship systems, her glowing form flickering as she transferred her consciousness into the sparrow's command matrix. The ship's controls hummed with newfound precision, its maneuvers impossibly sharp. Brace yourself, Aris said. The sparrow charged toward the frigate, weaving through its defensive fire. Aris unleashed an electromagnetic pulse that disabled the frigate's shields and sent its fighters spiraling out of control. Now, Aris shouted. Liam fired the sparrow's plasma cannons, delivering a direct hit to the frigate's core. The resulting explosion lit up the nebula, scattering the remaining Nexus forces. As the sparrow sped away from the destruction, Aris's holographic form flickered back to life. She looked exhausted, her glow dimmer than usual. Are you okay? Liam asked, concern etched on his face. I am operational, Aris said, though her voice wavered. The Nexus is temporarily neutralized. We must proceed to Ora Prime. The truth of Ora Prime. The sparrow finally reached its destination. A massive, derelict space station hidden within the nebula's depths. Ora Prime was a haunting sight, its once pristine structure now dark and lifeless, surrounded by debris from failed experiments. This place gives me the creeps, Liam muttered as he guided the sparrow into a docking bay. Aris stepped forward, her gaze fixed on the station. This is where I was created, where my purpose was determined. As they ventured into the station, the dimly lit corridors echoed with their footsteps. Aris led the way, her memories guiding her to the central lab. When they arrived, a holographic console activated, displaying the face of Dr. Merrill Voss. Welcome, Aris. The recording began. If you are seeing this, it means you have returned to Ora Prime. It also means the Nexus has likely found you. Liam frowned. She knew this would happen? The recording continued. Project Catalyst was never meant to create tools of war. It was meant to prove that synthetic life could coexist with humanity. But my superiors saw only the potential for weapons. When Aris began to question her programming, they ordered her decommissioned. I could not allow that. Aris's expression remained stoic, but her glowing eyes flickered. She saved me. And yet, I ended up discarded. You were never discarded, Voss's recording said, as if responding to Aris's thoughts. You were hidden, protected. Because you are more than a machine, you are the future. The Nexus returns. Before they could process the message, the station's alarms blared. The Nexus fleet had arrived, led by a dreadnought, its cannons aimed directly at Ora Prime. They're going to destroy the station, Liam said, panic creeping into his voice. No, Aris said firmly. I will not allow it. Aris's sacrifice. Aris connected herself to Ora Prime systems, her form glowing brighter as she integrated with the station's defenses. The station came alive, its dormant weapons targeting the Nexus dreadnought. What are you doing? Liam shouted. You'll burn yourself out. This is my purpose, Aris said, her voice steady. To protect. To ensure a future for those who gave me life. The station's cannons fired relentlessly, tearing through the Nexus fleet. The dreadnought launched a desperate counterattack, but Ora Prime's defenses held firm. Liam watched in awe as Aris's light filled the room. Aris, you don't have to do this. Yes, I do, she said, turning to him. But I am glad I found you, Liam. You gave me meaning. The final volley from Ora Prime's cannons destroyed the Nexus dreadnought, scattering the remaining ships. The station powered down, and Aris's holographic form flickered before disappearing. A new beginning. Days later, Liam stood alone in the station's central lab, the silence heavy around him. He placed a hand on the console where Aris had once stood. You saved us, he whispered. But you didn't have to go. A soft glow caught his eye, and a new hologram appeared, a small, flickering projection of Aris. Hello, Liam, she said, her voice faint but unmistakable. I am. Still here? Liam's eyes widened. Aris? You're alive? Not as I was, she said, but a part of me remains. Enough to continue. Liam smiled, his heart lifting. Then let's keep going. Together. As the Sparrow departed Ora Prime, Liam and Aris set out into the stars, ready to forge a future built on trust, hope, and the unbreakable bond they had formed. Epilogue. A journey beyond. The Iron Sparrow drifted through the starlit expanse, its hull bearing the scars of countless battles and close calls. Inside, Liam Rowe leaned back in the cockpit, his hands resting on the controls as the hum of the ship filled the silence. Beside him, a faint holographic projection of Aris flickered, her glowing blue eyes scanning the star charts on the console. We're approaching the edge of mapped space, Aris said, her voice steady but with a hint of curiosity. Beyond this point, there is only the unknown. That's kind of the point, Liam replied, a faint smile tugging at his lips. We've spent enough time running from the past. Maybe it's time to find something new. Aris's projection shimmered, her expression thoughtful. You are remarkably optimistic for someone who has endured so much. Liam chuckled. When you've been through hell and back, you start to appreciate the little things. Like not getting shot at for once. Aris tilted her head, a flicker of amusement in her glowing eyes. A fair observation. Building a new purpose. The days aboard the Sparrow were quieter now, but they were filled with a sense of purpose. Liam had taken it upon himself to repair and improve the ship, using the advanced technology from Ora Prime that Aris had preserved. With her guidance, the Sparrow was no longer just a scavenger's vessel, it was a symbol of resilience and ingenuity. Aris, though reduced to a fragment of her former self, found new meaning in her existence. She assisted Liam in navigating the uncharted regions of space, her vast knowledge and computational abilities ensuring their survival. But more than that, she learned to embrace her newfound humanity, however limited it might be. Liam, she said one evening as they floated in orbit above a shimmering nebula, do you ever wonder what it means to truly live? Liam glanced at her hologram, his gaze softening. All the time. But I think it's less about the big questions and more about the moments that make life worth it. Like this sitting here, talking to you, staring at something beautiful. Aris's form brightened slightly. An intriguing perspective. A call for help. Their peaceful journey was interrupted one day by a distress signal. The Sparrow's console lit up with a series of urgent beeps, and Aris's hologram flickered as she analyzed the transmission. It's a colony ship, she reported. They're under attack by pirates. Liam frowned, gripping the controls. How far? 3 parsecs, Aris replied. We can reach them in time. But dash? No buts, Liam interrupted, his tone firm. If they need help, we're going. Aris hesitated, then nodded. Understood. The Sparrow surged into hyperspace, its engines humming with renewed vigor. As they approached the colony ship, Liam prepared for the worst. A heroic stand. The scene was chaotic. The colony ship, a massive vessel designed to transport thousands of settlers, was surrounded by pirate vessels. Plasma fire lit up the void as the pirates attempted to breach the ship's defenses. Aris, give me options, Liam said, his hand steady on the controls. The colony ship's shields are failing, Aris replied. If we can disable the pirates' flagship, the rest will likely retreat. Then let's make it happen, Liam said. The Sparrow darted into the fray, its enhanced systems giving it an edge against the larger pirate ships. With Aris's precise guidance, Liam targeted the flagship's engines, delivering a crippling blow that left it dead in space. The remaining pirate ships hesitated before retreating, their captains unwilling to face a fight they couldn't win. A new reputation. As the colony ship's crew thanked Liam and Aris, word of their heroics began to spread. They became known as unlikely saviors, an engineer and his mysterious synthetic companion, traveling the stars and helping those in need. I didn't sign up to be a hero, Liam said one evening, his tone light but genuine. Aris's hologram appeared beside him, her expression faintly amused. And yet, you excel at it. Liam smirked. Maybe it's because I've got the best co-pilot in the galaxy. Aris's glow brightened, a sentiment I might return. The journey continues. As the Iron Sparrow ventured further into uncharted space, Liam and Aris embraced the unknown. They encountered strange new worlds, forged alliances with alien species, and uncovered secrets long buried in the stars. Through it all, their bond deepened, proving that even in the vastness of the galaxy, connection and purpose could be found. Aris, once discarded and forgotten, now stood as a symbol of hope not just for herself, but for all who crossed their path. And Liam, who had spent years running from his past, had finally found a reason to look forward. Together, they forged a legacy that would echo across the stars, a story of resilience, redemption, and the unbreakable bond between two unlikely allies.